station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News
We'll
Now.
make crime better. We will because we have to.
Tonight, D.C. mourns its 77th murder, just as district leaders gather to discuss crime, more specifically, solutions. But are current efforts enough? The new data that suggests they are nowhere close.
Plus, a Northern Virginia community in fear over gun violence in their own communities. We're in the stretch of Fairfax County becoming all too familiar with ambulance lights and police tape.
Also, growing calls for safer roads after a student is hit by a car near a Montgomery County school. We're live in Germantown tonight, where students and advocates say changes are needed now.
Good evening, everyone. It's really good to see you. We've seen a good amount of sunshine for your Wednesday. We're going to hit repeat on that situation for your Thursday, but we're back in the 80s. I'll have your full forecast coming up.
And breaking now at 10 as leaders tout efforts to fight crime. The district sees the latest deadly shooting of the year. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for DC News Now at 10 on DCW 50. I'm Chris Flanagan.
And I'm Tasmin Mahfouz. So this happened on the 900 block of Decatur Street in Northwest D.C. We're told the victim was rushed to the hospital around 5 o'clock after being shot in the Petworth neighborhood right near Decatur and 9th Streets. That's not far from Georgia Avenue Northwest. He did not survive, and police say the suspects are still out there, believed to be two men who may be driving a gray car with tinted windows.
And as mentioned, this latest act of deadly gun violence happened just after D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser wrapped up a half-day public safety summit. She brought together local safety leaders to talk about solutions. She also broke down crime data for the year, thus far revealing some troubling trends. So as of today, there have been 77 homicides in the district. That includes tonight's deadly shooting. That's up from 70 the same time last year, a 9% jump. Also troubling, cases of sexual abuse, 62 in D.C. as Monday compared to 41 in 2022. That is a 51% rise. And looking at property crimes, robberies up 13%. Motor vehicle thefts, look at this, up 111%. Arsons up from 2 to 8%. All seeing much higher figures now than this time last year.
And as we reported in recent weeks, the number of crimes going unsolved in the district is also on the rise, due in part to the state of D.C.'s embattled crime lab.
At DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg found out many cases can't even be prosecuted because that crime lab is not accredited.
67% of all arrests last year were not prosecuted. U.S. Attorney Matt Graves says many of those were misdemeanor drug charges.
We, of course, have not been able to test drugs since DFS lost its accreditation.
DFS being the Department of Forensic Sciences, or the crime lab.
If we cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the suspected substance is a drug, then we can't prosecute.
That's according to U.S. Attorney for D.C. Matt Graves. Mayor Muriel Bowser said this in response.
It will be unacceptable to us to say that we don't have this when we know what the Justice Department can do when it wants to do something.
The executive has worked with the U.S. Attorney's Office now to have contracts in place so that they can test drugs.
To get accreditation back, district leaders want legislation to change the structure of DFS.
I've asked that public health and our Department of Health focus on the public health laboratory, and I've asked MPD to do what MPD did for decades, and that's collect evidence.
And Administrator Kevin Donahue says it should also be structured to report to the mayor.
I think reporting to a mayor helps protect DFS when it's combined with the Strong Science Advisory Board. Without that protection, the agency can be a bit on its own.
There's still not a clear timeline on when DFS could get accredited, but recently they did get a new interim director, Dr. Diaz, who's currently the medical examiner. Donahue says he has experience getting and keeping accreditation. In Navy Yard, Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
And more breaking news now, this time from near the home of the vice president. That's where, on the eve of Title 42 expiring, some 4 migrants just arrived on board a bus from Texas. This video from outside the Naval Observatory in Northwest D.C. is from just before 9 p.m. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been sending these buses to D.C. for months now. We're told a community group is helping to get these migrants get settled into a nearby church. We'll take a look at the national impact of Title 42 expiring in about 10 minutes.
All right, let's go first checking the forecast. We'll have some haze today, more of it tomorrow as well.
Let's check with our chief meteorologist, Janessa Webb. And Janessa, tomorrow's your pick day.
Yeah, I gotta love a Thursday when we're talking about the 80s, high pressure settling in, and a good amount of sunshine. We are watching that wildfire smoke that is traveling along the jet stream into our region. I'll show you that in your extended forecast. Right now, you are seeing partly cloudy skies across most areas. On this live look of the D.C. metro area, you are noticing just a few clouds that are lingering in across our southern locations. You have a double dose of high pressure, and so that's going to stay on repeat tomorrow afternoon. Not much changing with this forecast. High pressure is not budging a bit, and so lows tonight are going to be a lot more comfortable. We're back into the upper 40s in most spots. You might need a light coat, but really it's some good refreshing air that's in place. The district currently at 51 degrees at the 10 o'clock hour. Clear skies, and as we go into tonight, a few areas going to continue to kind of jump up in temperatures back to the upper 50s to lower 60s, and then around 4 a.m. really our overnight low will hover in the lower 50s. Mostly sunny skies for your Thursday, a good amount of sunshine for your Friday as well, but then we're going to track in rain for your weekend. We'll look at that coming up.
All right, developing right now, just days after a 24-year-old man was killed, another shooting in the Bailey's Crossroads area of Fairfax County.
Yeah, it's an alarming trend that has people in the area worried for themselves and also their loved ones. Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Max Marcilla joins us live in the studio.
All right, Max, let's start with today's shooting because Fairfax County police say that shooter still on the loose tonight.
Chris, that's right, and so far FCPD has not released any photos or any detailed description of the suspect they're looking for. They just describe him tonight as a 20-year-old. But as the search continues for that 20-year-old, there are pleas from people for extra eyes and ears to help keep this community safe. Hours after a man was shot, police are picking up evidence, piecing together the narrative of what happened here on Glen Carlin Drive, a shopping center turned crime scene, an all too familiar sight in this area. Since the start of the year, 4 people have been shot in 3 separate incidents on Glen Carlin Drive. We spoke to a man who said the area is not safe. He's scared to leave his home at night to go to the grocery store or to his job. And he wants more cameras and patrol officers to help. Already at the 7-Eleven across the street, cameras propped up are recording the parking lot, and every 15 minutes, an automated voice from the machine tells everyone in earshot it's recording. Over the weekend here, about 2 miles away, a 24-year-old D.C. man was shot and killed near this shopping center. We spoke with someone off camera who's worried about what happens here at night. And both of these scenes just minutes away from where car shows were connected to multiple shootings last year, including one that caused police to shelter the entire community in place for half a day in September. And tonight we reached out to Fairfax County Police to ask about how it's planning to protect people in Bailey's Crossroads and to get an update on the recent investigations. They said to expect an update tomorrow, and we'll sure follow up with them there. Live in the studio, Max Marcilla, DC News Now.
Max, thank you. Montgomery County Police are investigating a Tuesday morning crash that killed a 19-year-old driver in Gaithersburg. The victim is Samuel Castaneda of Germantown, and just after midnight Tuesday, police say Castaneda was driving along Clopper Road right near Seneca Creek State Park when his car ran off the road and hit a power pole. Castaneda was pronounced dead at the scene. What happened leading up to the crash is still under investigation.
And that crash was just 2 miles from Seneca Valley High School in Germantown, where a car hit a middle school student around 8:45 last night. Tonight, we're tracking calls for safer roads in Montgomery County. Our Jan-Marie Sisse joins us live from the scene of last night's crash at Wisteria Drive and Great Seneca Highway. And Jan-Marie, we know that middle school student still in the hospital tonight.
Nice job, Max. Yeah, that's right. That 15-year-old is fighting for his life in the hospital, and several people I spoke to that walk this area all the time tell me that it's very nerve-wracking and they want to see change happen now.
I feel really unsafe. I feel bad for that middle school student.
Pedestrians like high school student Queen Kita cross Great Seneca Highway in Germantown all the time, and she says it's risky.
I feel totally unsafe because passing for pedestrians, they can just easily turn on red and they don't stop for anybody. And I think it should be no turns on red.
these drivers and these automobiles, especially the young adults, they love speed, and that makes me nervous.
Right now, it's not clear if speed played a role in Tuesday night's crash, but we are told the driver was a student driver.
I was really sad to hear that a middle school student is the latest victim of traffic violence in Montgomery County.
Bridget Howe with Action Committee for Transit says speed and road infrastructure are her biggest concerns in Montgomery County.
They're designed for speed. They're created in ways that the crossing signals may not be long enough. The roads are difficult to cross. There may not be enough crossings. Bus stops are not necessarily located where the crossings are located. And so it is not easy for a non-motorist.
Now, Howe wants the county to pass a legislation ensuring infrastructure review after accidents like what happened last night behind me here, so that these things do not happen again. Now, we did reach out to the county for comment, and council member Will Jawando responded within the past hour, telling us that he's working to increase funding and critical infrastructure programs to prevent tragedies like this from happening. For now, reporting in Germantown, Maryland, I'm Yamari Sase, DC News Now.